Good morning, I'm Laura Walsh and today I will be talking about an intervention plan for Hockey Australia. Current elite sports research done by Green has identified three basic tasks for effective sport development. Firstly being athlete recruitment, second athlete retention, and third athlete transition to higher levels of competition. DeBoschere has also identified three levels of factors that lead to international success. First, macro-socio-cultural factors that cannot be influenced by sports policy. Second, meso-factors that can easily be influenced by sports policy. And third, micro-individual athlete factors, some of which are easily influenced by sport policy. Currently, Hockey Australia has successfully established the three basic tasks for effective sport identified by Green. Research has also reinforced Australia's overall success of their national sporting organisations as part of their meso-level processes and how pivotal they are for Australia's elite sporting success. It was also found NSOs understood talent identification as highly important to elite sporting development. And further to this, it was found that sport in Australia has a well-developed community club-based system linked to high-performance institutes highly supported by government funding. DeBoschere has also identified 9 pillars of sports policy factors influencing international success. These pillars are financial support, organisation and structure of sport policies, foundation and participation, talent identification and development systems, athletics and post-career sport training facilities, coaching provisions and development, and inter and national competition and scientific research. Currently, Hockey Australia is successfully implementing pillars 2, 3, 4, 5 and 8. However, pillars 1, 6, 7 and 9 are identified as requiring improvement. This intervention review will focus on these pillars. A goal will be identified, recommendations as to how, what collaborations are required, and the review process. The overall goal of these recommendations will be to produce gold medal performances at the Commonwealth and Olympic Games and to maintain a world #1 ranking. Pillar 1, financial support. The goal here is to have 50% of funding from non-government sources. Hockey Australia's current strategic planning document, Hockey's Winning Edge, has already stated the need that 50% of non-government revenue. Hockey Australia is working towards being a top 3 governed sport with the Australian Sports Commission. Achieving this will secure their funding requirements for the upcoming Commonwealth and Olympic Games and other international tournaments in between, such as the Champions Trophy and World Cup. However, Hockey Australia cannot rely purely on their funding from the ASC, and we need to implement strategies to attract funding from other areas. The already established finance and audit and commercial committees need to be working together to build new business relationships for new sponsors and partners, to bring in new funding, work on the current relationships with existing sponsors and partners, and to workshop other novel ways to increase funding, such as hosting more international matches and tournaments in Australia. Collaboration between Joint Finance and Audit and Commercial Committee Task Force may require the hiring of additional staff to support the increased workload. The task force will need to identify ways to increase the existing funding arrangements, identify new sponsors, and research what other countries are doing to increase their funding of elite sport. The United Kingdom and New Zealand, for example, established lotteries dedicated to fund elite sport. Progress will be reviewed annually over the 4-year implementation period as well as immediately after milestone tournaments. The review will be conducted by an independent board made up of business professionals, coach and athlete representatives, and representative from sponsors and partners of Hockey Australia. Pillar 6 focuses on training facilities. The goal of this recommendation is to have equal access to high-quality training facilities at each national training centre. Each NTC receives funding based on individual needs, but also on the percentage of players represented in the Australian training squad. Therefore, those centres that provide the least number of players in the international squad receive less funding. It is proposed that funding be based on the needs of the individual training facility. One way of doing this is for each training facility to identify a wish list of needs. This wish list will be reviewed by a funding committee and international coaching staff to prioritise their necessities. Wish lists will include what they require, how long the requirement will take to be developed, built or delivered, how it will benefit the team, the lifespan, the cost, and the cost of producing or installing the requirement. This wish list will be produced at the beginning of the 4-year intervention plan. It should be based around significant research and should reflect upon the performance of the previous 4-year intervention strategic planning goals, what other countries are doing and what other coaches are doing. The wish list will be reviewed by the Joint Finance and Audit Commercial Committee as well as international team coaching staff. Pillar 7 focuses on coaching provisions and development, and the goal is to produce elite level coaches with the skills required and the financial ability to work in the full-time role. This will be achieved by allowing coaches to attend conferences, training workshops, and be provided with high quality constructive feedback and the opportunity to work alongside other highly successful coaches around the world and from other sports. Working with other elite coaches has been identified as a key factor to enhance the current abilities of coaching staff. New Zealand recognised this and also recognised the importance of supporting their current coaches to allow the development into elite sports coaching. With this, they identified 3 areas of improvement. Firstly, improve the quality and quantity of time available for coaches to solely focus on coaching activities. Second, the need for increased recognition and status of coaches. And third, improve the quality of coach education critical for development of world-class coaches. Financial support plays a big role in these areas, so New Zealand established the Carded Coach Program, Prime Minister's Coaching Scholarship Program, and Coach Performance Enhancement Grants as a way for coaches to have incentive to enhance their skills and knowledge and to be supported for further development. Hockey Australia will need to use these frameworks and work with sporting leaders from other nations and various other elite sports to develop their own ways of enhancing coach development and supporting already established coaches. A full-time committee for coach development will need to be established. They will need to identify new potential coaches and assess existing coaches' current skills and areas of improvement, and then recommend strategies for these improvements to take place. A review of this intervention will be conducted annually over the 4-year intervention period. An independent board should be established for this review, consisting of coaches, athletes, and finance representatives. Coaches should be reviewed based on their performance of their team, and also be reviewed based on the participation in the intervention and their willingness to improve their coaching ability. Regular feedback throughout the individual competition seasons should also be given. Their development should be tracked. Ideally, we would like their development to look like the graph that's provided. Pillar 9 is focused on scientific research. The early focus of scientific research in Australia was based on athlete development, as it was seen to create greater profit. These days, scientific research has extended to the ability to use this information effectively and the skills and knowledge gained through this research, which creates the competitive sporting edge. This has been identified as one of the most influential areas for countries to forge ahead of their competitors. This competitive advantage can be achieved through establishing a dedicated research team made up of performance analysts working closely with coaches, physiotherapists, nutritionists, and psychologists to identify 4 key areas of research. These areas will be identified by reviewing current research trends, identifying what other countries and coaches are doing and where the gaps in the literature lie. Work should be conducted in collaboration with other international sporting teams and organisations in order to benefit on the technology and athletes that they have available. Each research area will have its own timeframe, hypothesised outcomes and benefits, identified negative implications, and the funding that's required. Each project will be reviewed at key points along their individualised timeframes of completion to ensure it will be completed within the suggested period. It is producing the projected benefits. It isn't negatively impacting on performance in any way, and it isn't going over its funding budget. In review, it is recommended that this 4-year period for our intervention plan be focused on financial support, training facilities, coach development, and scientific research. It is hypothesised if these interventions are carried out, the Hockey Roos will retain their #1 world ranking and be able to add gold medal performances from the Commonwealth Games and Olympic Games to their trophy cabinet. Thank you.